Long before the surface world carved its first stone monuments, beneath the crushing depths of the Atlantic Ocean, the civilization of Atlantis rises to unprecedented glory. The kingdom flourishes for millennia, its towers of luminescent coral and crystalline architecture stretching toward the distant shimmer of sunlight above. But it is not engineering or architecture that defines Atlantean supremacy. It is a single artifact of terrible power, the Trident of Poseidon. The legend begins in an age so ancient that even Atlantean historians speak of it in reverent whispers. Poseidon, god of the seas, surveys his vast domain and finds it wanting. The creatures of the deep war endlessly against one another. Chaos reigns in the darkest trenches where light never penetrates. The god resolves to impose order upon the waters, but even divine will requires a conduit. In the deepest forge of the ocean floor, where volcanic vents superheat the water to temperatures no mortal can survive, Poseidon labors for what surface dwellers would measure as centuries. He gathers metals unknown to the world, above a calcum from the core of a fallen star, neptunium harvested from the bones of ancient leviathans, and crystallized essence drawn from the currents themselves. The forge burns with the fury of the earth's molten heart. The god shapes 3 prongs from this impossible alloy, each representing a fundamental aspect of oceanic dominion. The first prong embodies the power of the tides, the ability to command the very movement of water across the globe. The second prong channels the fury of storms, granting its wielder control over tempests, hurricanes, and the electrical fury that dances between sea and sky. The third prong, perhaps the most fearsome, carries authority over all creatures dwelling beneath the waves. From the smallest luminescent fish to the most ancient and terrible behemoths sleeping in abyssal trenches. When the forging is complete, Poseidon binds the 3 prongs together with his own divine essence. The cost is tremendous. A portion of the god's power flows permanently into the weapon, diminishing him but creating something that will endure long after the age of gods fades into myth. The trident glows with an inner light humming with contained fury. For ages uncounted, Poseidon wields the trident himself, bringing order to the depths, carves out undersea kingdoms, establishes the first Atlantean settlements, and drives back the primordial horrors that once ruled the darkness. The creatures of the deep learn to fear the 3-pronged shadow. With the trident points, mountains rise from the ocean floor. Where it strikes, chasms open to swallow entire armies. But gods, as the ancient texts record, do not remain forever in the mortal realm. As the age of gods wanes, Poseidon prepares to withdraw from direct involvement in oceanic affairs. He cannot take the trident with him. Its power is too intertwined with the physical sea. Instead, he establishes a lineage to guard it. The first mortal to hold the trident is a warrior king named Atlan, founder of the unified Atlantean monarchy. Poseidon appears before him in a cavern lit only by bioluminescent life and places the weapon in his hands. The transfer nearly kills Atlan. Divine power surges through mortal flesh, and for 7 days, he lies in a death-like state, while his body adapts to channel even a fraction of the trident's might. When Atlan rises, he is transformed. His eyes glow with the pale luminescence of the deep. His strength is multiplied 100-fold. Most significantly, he can hear the voice of the ocean itself, every current, every creature, every whisper in the darkness. He becomes the first ocean master, a title that will pass through generations of Atlantean royalty. The succession of the trident is never peaceful. Atlantean history is written in the blood of those who covet its power. The artifact seems almost sentient in its selection of wielders, sometimes passing to unexpected heirs, while rejecting those who believe themselves entitled. Records speak of would-be usurpers who grasp the trident only to be consumed by its power, their bodies torn apart by forces they cannot control. The most infamous struggle for the trident occurs during the reign of King Orvax, his younger brother. Orm grows obsessed with claiming the weapon for himself. Where Orvax rules with measured temperance, Orm sees the trident as a tool for conquest, not merely of the 7 underwater kingdoms, but of the surface world itself. He believes Atlantis has cowered beneath the waves long enough, while surface dwellers pollute and plunder the oceans with impunity. Orm's first attempt to claim the trident through challenge of combat ends in humiliating defeat. Orvax, guided by the weapon's power, anticipates every strike before it lands. But Orm is patient. He spends decades cultivating alliances among the other underwater kingdoms, the militaristic Zebel, the monstrous Trench, the isolated fisherman kingdom. He whispers of a new order beneath the waves, one united not by tradition, but by righteous fury against the surface. When Orvax finally falls, some say to an assassin's blade, though the truth remains disputed, the succession crisis threatens to tear Atlantis apart. Orm seizes the trident from the throne room, expecting to feel its power flow through him as his birthright. Instead, the weapon burns cold in his grasp, neither accepting nor fully rejecting him.
Ow.
The trident seems to wait for something, or someone. This partial rejection defines Orm's reign as Ocean Master. He wields the trident's power, but never its full potential. The weapon responds to his commands with apparent reluctance, requiring tremendous willpower to accomplish what his predecessors achieved effortlessly. Some scholars theorize that the trident judges not bloodline, but intention, that Orm's rage and vengeance poison the connection that should flow freely between ruler and artifact. Nevertheless, Orm's mastery of even diminished trident power makes him the most dangerous force in the Seven Seas. He can summon tsunamis capable of leveling coastal cities, command armies of the most fearsome ocean predators, and survive pressures that would crush submarines. The surface world remains largely ignorant of the threat gathering in the darkness below, dismissing Atlantis as myth while the Ocean Master plots their destruction. The ancient prophecies speak of a reckoning to come, a time when the trident's true heir will emerge to challenge the usurper. The weapon itself, according to legend, cannot be held indefinitely by one unworthy of its full power. Eventually it will call out to another, and the struggle for dominion over the Earth's oceans will begin anew. Till that day, Orm holds his kingdom in an iron grip, the trident's cold light illuminating his throne room, its three prongs pointing eternally toward the surface world he has sworn to conquer.